It's on the screen.
Good day, viewers, and welcome back to another jam-filled episode of the Social League. My name is Madeline Gassis, and I will be the moderator for today's discussion. Today, we're going to be diving in the safety of the youth on the road. But before we do that, let's watch our promo video, or let's get into our promo video. Thank you so much, viewers, for staying tuned. So now it's time for us to dive into a panel discussion. So today I'm joined by three lovely guests on the panel today. So would you kindly introduce yourself? We can start here with you, Mr. Willem.
Thank you, Madeline. My name is Willem van der Kerk. I am the Managing Director for eMed Rescue.
I'm Waldheim Vilo. I'm representing the youth today in this discussion. Very happy to be here.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting us. I'm Jones Lutombi, Manager Accident and Injury Prevention at the Motor Vehicle Accident Fund of Namibia.
Thank you so much for joining me on this panel today. So as I mentioned before, we're going to be diving in and talking and dissecting the safety of the youth on the road. So Namibia has an unacceptably large number of road traffic deaths. And the youth, the ages between 16 and 35, represent the largest group of people who have lost their lives on road accidents in 2020. The MVA, in its 2020 road crash claims report, availed to the media that the younger people who perished on Namibian roads represent 39% of accident victims. A similar pattern was observed in 2019 as well. So this topic, it's a crucial topic. And with that being said, I will just dive right straight into it. So the first question that I want to know is, as Namibian citizens, I'll start with you, Mr. Jones. Do you feel safe on the Namibian roads?
Thank you, Desiree. Maybe from the word go, we are not safe. We are at risk. We are losing lives so prematurely. And the sad part is that we are losing young people, like you rightly mentioned, that 16 to 35 years old, they are the ones that are perishing as a result of road traffic crashes in Namibia. We are totally not safe because these are active people who are supposed to contribute to the socio-economic welfare of the country, but we lose them due to road accidents. I would safely say that we are not safe. You would see that sometimes you, as a driver, you can be safe yourself, but the next person is not a safe driver. We are totally not safe. The fact that we're still recording this high number of road traffic crashes that results into fatalities and severe injuries. Yes.
Okay. Waldheim?
I concur. I don't think we'd be having this discussion if it wasn't a problem. Myself being a youth, I'm in the demographic with those alarming statistics. I think there is a lot that needs to be done when it comes to the safety of people in general, I think, on the road. And it goes to say that not everybody can drive as well as you think you can. You know, everybody, I think, should keep that at the back of their minds, that we all think we're experts, but accidents happen and we need to be very vigilant on the road.
Mr. Willem?
Thank you, Madeline. I have to agree with Jones and Waldheim. that our roads are not safe, and I think a lot of it has to do also with the trust amongst each other while driving. As road users with our vehicles, the attitude that we apply, the behavioral aspect, the self-control, and as well as your environmental analysis while you're driving. I think there are a lot that can be done in that direction. And if you look at even impatient and intolerance when it comes to slow drivers or broken down vehicles, the way people respond to that. So yeah, there's a lot of things that can be done. Our roads are not safe at the moment.
Are not safe. Okay, what would you say, I'll continue with you,
Okay.
what would you say are the contributing factors to this unsafety, or the fact that you feel so unsafe on the road?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that can be looked at. One of the things could be inexperience. I get my license today, tomorrow I get in a car and I think I can drive without really obtaining the practice and the skill how to handle the vehicle that I am driving at the moment. You can look at distractions. We've had multiple discussions regarding cell phone use, SMSing, WhatsApping, phoning, things like that does make a concern. Further to that, you can look at distractions from other teens in the car, or other youth in the car, for example.
Yeah.
Peer pressure, you know, I bet you can do this. The way we drive. You can look at fatigue, driving long distances, for example. I think there's more things that can be mentioned, yes.
Okay, considering that the discussion is a lot around the youth
Yes.
and their unsafety on the road,
Yes.
what would you say are main contributing factors to the fact that the youth are the ones who are perishing the most in these accidents, yet they are the same people causing these accidents? So what would you say are the contributing factors to that?
Sure. Our opinion, if I have to really pinpoint things, I would go for the inexperience. Probably distractions on the cellular phones, except for other things that can possibly be possible. And then impaired driving is also a possibility that we will not rule out. If we look at the timelines of when accidents take place and where it is, then that's also good.
Oh, that's very true. Valdine?
I would cite alcoholism as one of the contributing factors. And youth, we're very distracted, you know, especially millennials. We're on the phone a lot, and yeah, we tend to have quite a few friends in the car sometimes. So actually, I agree with what he's saying. Am I allowed to speak another language?
Yes.
Yeah. So I think we're very distracted, and we get drunk sometimes. Very irresponsible.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think alcohol might be one of the biggest
It's a
contributing
very, very huge
factors
issue.
to
Yeah.
these accidents.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones?
Thank you. You know, these road traffic crashes are more concentrated in urban areas, not in the very rural areas, parts of the country. And if you look at the population, I think according to the NSA, the Namibia Statistics Agency reports, can't remember, I think it was 2019, somewhere there. I'm speaking under correction. It says 50% of urban population are the youth. They come to cities, to towns, they are on the road most of the time, whereby the result will be vehicle-to-vehicle conflict. And because of that, the youth are very active. They move around for leisure, they move around searching for jobs, entertainment, and all that. And some of these very few contributory factors, like my colleagues have alluded to, it can be peer pressure. They drive and then they are pushed to speed. They overspeed. They drink. There's driving under influence, which is mostly very, very common, and also some sort of reckless driving. At the end of the day, they don't have due regard for other road users.
Yeah.
They just drive. They lack responsibility of that they are behind the steering wheel. More so, have that issue of lack of courtesy. I would give a practical example along the B1, Ochivarongo, Kahanja. You're following a truck and you want to overtake, but there's an oncoming traffic. And for a youth that wants to get to Ochivarongo in a very short span of time would want to take chances. And normally when they take chances, it's either they overtake at the compromised areas and then they remain with three choices, either to go back where they came from to hit, they're scared to hit the truck. So they would, the second option would to accelerate in a very fast manner. But you know Namibians, how they are. The person who's oncoming also accelerates and say, I want to see what this guy is going to do. And then the person who was overtaking at a compromised area would have no choice but to go off the road. And I can assure you, once you are off the road with a speed of 140 kilometers per hour, just few centimeters on the edge of the road, which is uneven, and then you go there with that speed, the car will roll over. So there are a couple of factors that plays a role. And you know, for an accident to take place, there must be a car, there must be the road, and the human being who's driving the vehicle. And recently we just conducted a study which unearthed that 60% of these, more than 60% of these accidents, they are caused by human error. So the rest you distribute it evenly to vehicles and the roads. We've just had a conversation now that our roads are one of the best roads in Africa. But the question remains, are they forgiving roads? That in an event you crash, will the road forgive you for the mistake that you have done? You know, there's an approach that Swedish people are using, that they have accepted that a human being will always make a mistake. That you cannot rule out. But if we design roads, we design roads to compensate for the mistakes that these people are going to do, you know. So it's a lot of factors. And for an accident to happen, it's a chain of events that has to take place before a person crashes. Maybe he was drinking, after drinking he starts speeding. You know, no due regard, you overtakes unnecessarily, and at the end of the day.
Pure negligence,
exactly.
if you ask me. And the thing that makes it worse for me is, you as a driver, if you decide to consume alcohol and get into this car and drive this car and now you're speeding, you're not only putting yourself at risk, you're putting so many other innocent people at risk as well. You know, somebody who was probably just picking up their child on their way home, about to go cook a meal, is now in an accident, you know, because of somebody who didn't care for the next person. So moving on, we spoke a lot about the contributing factors, and one thing that is a really important part of somebody being able to drive a car is driving school or getting your learners and getting your license eventually. So I'll start here with you, Mr. Willem. There's been a bit of talk around driving schools and their competency and the products that they are giving out. People that they are saying, you know, you are worthy to have a license. What is your stance on that?
Madeleine, I think firstly as a driver school or driving school, we see them as a small business. Let's call them an SME for now. All right. So they're also in it for making the money. I think they have a responsibility when it comes to what they share, the information they share. And if they do teach the road traffic rules and the risks that goes apart with that, I think that is a very valid and important role that they have to play. But to hold them responsible for somebody else's behavior and attitude after they obtain their license, I think that is the questionable part of this. How far can you hold a youth responsible after he has graduated from university? Are we going to hold the university liable because of the way that he reacts in his workplace, in a professional manner, or whatever the case might be? So I think in this sense that comes back down to that. The driving school plays a vital role in education, I believe, and what they carry across. And in that I believe that they should know the risks that are identified as part of the accidents caused by the youth, so that they can carry it across. And then get the guy to get his license the right way, obviously.
Well done.
When it comes to driving schools, and we had a discussion here earlier, feel like there are a lot of things that can change. But I want to point out that the driving school gets a person to pass at NATIS and get their license. So legally, when the person obtains their license, we assume they know how to drive.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel like when a person does operate a vehicle on the road while having a license, then the driving school did their job.
Okay.
I feel like there's more they could have done in terms of, we were talking about there being some sort of body that registers these driving schools. Criteria such as how long have you been driving before you open the school? Do you have first aid training, you know, in case the person crashes the car in the road or things like that. There were quite a few things, including defensive driving, that we were speaking about. But I feel like these are important things that a driving school could teach someone while they're learning how to drive. But currently, the process also needs to get to all stakeholders. NATIS needs to receive people in this way, you know, build a course that has defensive driving, maybe dummies that you can, you know, evade sometimes, or you know, something like that. Just to make it a bit more complex, I think, would be important. But I don't think we can blame the driving school, because they got the person to get the license, and it's done. You know, there's more that can be done, but I feel like currently, based on the system that we have, it works. I guess,
Okay, Mr. Jones.
Yes. Thank you. I think my approach to this question will be of a general nature.
Okay.
To say that despite having driving schools, we need to talk about effective driver training, because there are people who teaches themselves how to drive. You are taught by your parent, not necessarily good. And there are very few people who goes to driving schools.
Yeah.
Some of them cannot afford driving schools, but your uncle, your cousin will be able to teach you. So it's that whole component of driver training. Of course, for those that goes through driving schools, like Velo has just alluded to now, they only focus on how to take the car from point B to point A to point B. They only focus on how to reverse parking. They only focus on how to parallel parking. But the safety component, because the driving comes with a responsibility, a bigger responsibility, in the sense that you are going out there, you should go out there knowing that you share the road with so many.
With so many,
You share the road with other drivers. So we should move away from just ordinary training of knowing how to operate a vehicle, but imparting that road safety culture into our trainee drivers, so that they become better drivers in the future. If you go to Europe, there's what they call graduated drivers. They take a period of time before they become full drivers. You take a year with your learner's license, and you are monitored through a demerit point system. Every time you make a mistake, they take it out. You can even be sent back to go and rewrite your learner's driving test within that period. So that if we could have these graduated drivers, we were going to say, yes, there's effective driver training and licensing. But of course, like you said, we cannot put a blame on the driving schools, because these schools are not regulated. There's no policy that guides them, though there's an attempt from the Ministry of Works and Transport to ensure that in future they will be regulated.
Okay. So I actually, considering everything that we spoke about, the contributing factors and so on, we emphasized on alcohol and speed. And considering that the festive season is coming up, the season where it's fast. Everything is fast. I wanted to know, Mr. Jones, are there any campaigns? Is there anything MVA is doing basically to advocate for youth and their safety on the road?
Yes, of course. You know, since 2005, the country has been running what we call the Festive Season Road Safety Campaign.
Okay.
Because it is that time when there's more traffic. Vehicle-to-vehicle conflict is very high at that time because we would want to go for holidays, we want to go to our villages, and the roads are just proud of a lot of things. So the Festive Season Road Safety Campaign is a partnership with partners like the National Road Safety Council, the local authority traffic departments, the Namibian Police Traffic, the private sector Road Safety Forum that is changing to Namibia Road Safety Forum now, and also other stakeholders that comes in to support the adventure. So from the MVA Fund point of view, I think we can't do everything. We need to focus on certain things. So we have a program that we're going to launch, not necessarily launching, that we are going to deploy, which we call the Green Dot. This is a program which starts at the loading zone, at where you take off from, especially targeting the public transport drivers. And this Green Dot means that you ensure readiness for the road. It's not a roadworthy guarantee that your car, when it has gone through this process, we give you a roadworthy certificate. But it's a readiness check that would start at the loading zone to say, are your lights okay? Are your brakes okay? Your driver fitness, is your car okay? So it targets 3 things, which is the vehicle, the roadworthiness of the vehicle, and also the passengers. Are they safe? Are they going to buckle up? Do they know where the emergency exit is in an event they are entrapped in the vehicle? You know, and so on and so forth. So this is one of the programs that we're going to deploy come the festive season. The other one is that we're focusing on tires. We are going to exclusively focus on tires. Of course, it's a plan, like I said, it's an integrated plan with other stakeholders. They will come up with other ideas. We are yet to meet, and I think should be meeting this week. But from the MVA Fund's point of view, these are things that we are going to do. And we also want to boost the social media. You know, there's this COVID, so most of our interventions will be on social media. And one last thing I want to mention, we want to popularize the new number, and also talk about the MVA Fund accident response process. That is co-twined with the accident response number that has changed from 0819-682 to 9682.
Okay, can you just repeat that for the viewers?
The new number now is 9682. It has 4 digits.
Okay.
As opposed to the old one of 0819-682, but now is 9682.
Okay.
So we're going to promote that. In an event, there's an eventuality, we'll be able to call the number and then we dispatch our brother here to go and take care of these road accident victims in terms of providing the right level of care under the pre-hospital or management.
Okay.
So these are some of the things. And of course, we have another project that we want to run with a clustered entities like the Amarok clubs. We want to engage them.
Okay.
The golf clubs. You know, the GTI.
The GTI
the
people.
GTIs, sometimes they can be, you know, that one. So we want to engage them.
Okay.
Because most people who are driving those cars are the youth.
Are the youth,
That's
yes.
why we want to target them so they can bring their part in order to ensure safety of all the road users on our roads.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there any last words of advice that you would like to give to the youth? Mr. Jones?
Thank you. You see, when we started, we spoke about the youth that are highly affected, the 16 to 35 years old. My word to them is that they must play it safe. They must take responsibility. That they are the generations of tomorrow.
Yes.
You know, they must know their contribution towards the social, economic attempt of this country. And they must be safe. There are other diseases that are killing us. And dying from an accident sometimes it's because of the choices that we make.
And it can be prevented.
And the road accidents are preventable if we all work together, because road traffic safety management is everybody's responsibility.
Yes.
Not only me, not only them, but yourself. So my encouragement to them is that as we are approaching the festive season, they must take precaution. Stop drinking and driving, stop speeding, do away with reckless driving, and get safe home. And lastly, I'm that person who do not really want to discuss numbers, because numbers are just numbers. I always want to talk about the effects of road traffic crashes, the cost that we are incurring, the social cost that we are incurring, the medical cost that we are incurring.
Yeah.
You know, the grief, the sorrow of losing a loved one as a result of this road
I mean, because
crash.
we are already in a pandemic, we've already lost
Exactly.
so many loved ones,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
due to this virus. And adding on car accidents, you know, we don't need that, especially when we can prevent it.
Absolutely.
Okay, any last words that you would like to give, Mr. Valam?
Well, I think I would like to add to what Mr. Jones said in regards to take responsibility. Your life matters as youth. It is very important to the social, economical, as well as the growth. I mean, they're the future leaders. Wear a seatbelt, please, buckle up. If you are unable to drive for whatever reason, acknowledge that. Phone a friend to drive you around. Don't take chances with this. And be aware of the distractions. I think that is an important thing, is leave the SMS or the WhatsApp for later, the phone call that you have to answer right now. Pull over, make sure that you stay safe, and respect other road users. I think there's a need that we all respect each other and that we have a safe environment while we travel.
Thank you. Vilo, any words that you would like to give to your fellow young people?
Fellow youth. Guys, I'd like to say, I think there's a difference between enjoying your life and jeopardizing your future. Like these gentlemen said here, be very, very vigilant when you're driving. Be very safe, right? Understand that you are responsible for the lives of the people in the car, in the road, and yourself. That means you need to be cautious and take precaution. Check the tire before you go on the long distance travel. Make sure that you are in the position to drive. Like in terms of influence, if you're under the influence, give the car to your friend to drive who's fine. Call someone to collect you. You could deal with it tomorrow. At least you'll make it, you know. So I feel like it's important to understand that as much intervention, or as much as there is interventions to help you when there is an accident, or campaigns to try and avoid all of this, at the end of the day, it's in your hands. And you can decide today to wear your seatbelt, to make sure that you're not sitting. I know a lot of us like to put the seatbelt behind. Yeah, just focus. Stay off your phone. Do not drink and drive. It's all in black and white, very, very clear.
Question: Why do you think that's a thing? That not wearing the seatbelt or putting the seatbelt behind?
Yeah.
Why do you think
I don't
that's
understand
a
it
thing?
neither.
I don't understand it because you not wearing a seatbelt puts you in a position to be thrown out of the car.
Right.
in the case
It'll
of
be
impact.
in the windscreen.
Yes,
You know?
right through.
Even driving like this, right? And I'm guilty. I'm saying it from a perspective of someone. Yeah, I should talk, right? But I understand now why they say you should drive like 10 to 2, because the airbag is gonna pop out of the steering wheel.
Yeah.
So if you have your hand like this, the first thing that's gonna hit you is your own hand.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
So just follow the rules and you will be good. Make sure you're vigilant, drive slow, or not slow, drive manageably.
Manageably, yeah.
Understand that you are in control.
Maybe Desiree, if I may come in, some people opt to lie
Oh, very
Yes.
good.
On the floor.
very uncomfortable when
Yeah.
they have a safety belt. But one thing they must know, the youth must know, is that when you are driving a vehicle that is moving at a speed of 140 kilometers per hour, which is not, per the design of our roads, not acceptable, because there's what we call designing speed for the roads. And our roads are only designed to accommodate a maximum speed of 120 kilometers per hour.
Per hour.
Go to Europe, you'd find a road that you can do 160 kilometers, which is guarded by satellites and so on. Potholes are immediately fixed whenever they are detected. But our roads are designed for that speed. And when you are doing 140 or 160 kilometers per hour, you as an occupant in that very vehicle, you are moving at the same speed.
Yeah.
I always tell my audience that in science we learned that force is equal to mass times acceleration in the same direction. So you seated in that very vehicle, you are moving at the same speed.
Yeah.
So in an event, there's an eventuality, and you don't have a safety
seat
belt,
belt.
you would continue with that
same
same
speed.
speed
Out
up
of the
until
car.
you are stopped by an obstacle, either the car or the asphalt, which is the tar road.
Yeah.
And then injuries takes over. You first crash onto something, that's the first impact. And then, or the car crashes on something, and then the second impact would be you crashing against it at something.
Yeah.
And then your body parts would crash. And then what happens? You break your legs.
Oh, you lose your life.
You lose your life.
You know?
Ultimately.
Well, that is it for this discussion. I personally found this discussion extremely informative and fruitful. So I would lastly just want to thank my three panelists for coming in today, for taking time out of your day to join us here. And I really hope that the youth and everybody who does watch this episode can see, we are, it's a serious issue. And we as the youth need to take responsibility for our actions and be safe on the roads. Yes, so that is it from me, Desiree Garces, Madeline Garces, on our panel discussion. I will see you guys same time, same place next week.